But I don't know how many of you guys maybe keep up with maybe me social media-wise or Beebe softball in general. But this past Thursday, our softball team at the high school played in the state finals for the first time in 17 years. An amazing group of young ladies for sure. Like I said, first time, 17 years. Most of them weren't even born the last time they played in the state finals. But if you don't know much about how state softball works, last week we stayed at Harrison for like 4 days. And it's a grueling 3-day span of playing top-notch competition, high energy, coming up, coming down, getting ready for games. And we had to win 3 in 3 days to make the state finals this past week. Which is amazing. The girls did phenomenal, but more so what I want to talk about, if you don't know or follow, is each one of those days down at Harrison, we took the evening, we invited all the girls down to do a devotional. The first night the baseball boys were with us, but it was optional. They didn't have to come. But by the grace of God, every single one of them showed up every single night for a devotional that we led. The first night we talked about David and Goliath and overcoming our own David and Goliath stories. To ourselves. The second day we talked about gratitude, finding gratitude in every single situation, finding the positivity and the great parts of whatever happens, win or lose, or any aspect of your life, ups and downs, the hills, the valleys, all of that. We talked about that. And then the third night, our athletic trainer Justin spoke on, it was my favorite night, he spoke on a story of when the Israelites were fighting Amalek. I'm not going to go super into detail on the story, but Moses has this rod, and if he holds his rod up, and you can see the depiction behind me, if he holds his rod up, the Israelites would be prevailing. As long as he held it up, the Israelites would prevail and be winning. If he lowered his staff, Amalek would take over and they would be winning. So what happened is Aaron and Hur take Moses up to the top of this hill, sit him down on a rock, and Aaron and Hur, who are with him, hold up both sides of his arms to help him hold up his staff, to help support him so that the Israelites can prevail and win. And it talks about how doing this is a team effort, connecting team effort and supporting each other when our hands get tired, when we get weak. When Moses got tired, his staff got heavy, they supported him and helped him prevail and keep his staff up. Then later that night, after our last game that Saturday, I got sent this picture from our dugout. I absolutely lost it when I got sent this picture, but it's some of our girls holding up their bats in the same depiction of Moses holding up his staff and them supporting each other in the prevailing what was going on, our battle at the moment in a softball game. They were holding up their bats in kind of support of this and understanding of this. You give devotionals and stuff, you talk to teenagers, and you always wonder, do they get it? Do they actually really listen? Do they go through the motions? And it was one of those things where when I saw this, I felt they got it. They understood the big picture of everything, not just softball, but life, and how God intervenes in every aspect, how you should be there for each other, whether it be sports or life or family or church, whatever, that you should have that support system for you at all times. And then they saw a big picture, because most of these people in this picture, they didn't even see the field that week. But they're there for each other and supporting each other in any aspect, in any single way that they can. And I absolutely fell in love with this. And then the last portion of it, and this was kind of, we talked about it the first night we were up there. We talked about a saying I'm sure some of you have heard, but it's called "It is written." And we talked about how that no matter what happens, win or lose, that our story, God has already ordained it. God has already written that story, right? Same as whether it be for sports or whether for life, God has ordained your story. God has written your story His way, right? And though maybe the story didn't end exactly the way that we wanted it to, obviously not, but, God wrote it. And we talked about at the end how if we truly felt that it is written, and we truly felt that God orchestrated all of this and had His hand in every single aspect of this, that we could find peace in it, and we could find acceptance in the fact that it just wasn't our time, right? But that's my challenge to you guys as well, that when you look at your life, when struggles happen, when things that don't quite go your way, okay, or even in the positive seasons of your life, that we know that your story it's already written, right? God has a plan for us. He wants so much more for us than maybe we can see sometimes, that maybe sometimes it's really hard in the moment, but God has so much for us. And that's my challenge to you guys, is I just want you to see how much peace and love and understanding God has for you guys in your life every single day, right? Your story's already written. We don't have to stress about all the anxieties and fears in our life because God's already written that story for us. We know that if we can give our full faith, our full love, and our full trust to God, anything is possible, right? Amen?